A lot of men, you know what I mean? It's disgusting. It's a red flag. But you date men as a woman, your female friends are so supportive. They're too supportive, right? God forbid a guy breaks up with you. Your female friends are just going to be like, oh, he was intimidated by you. He wasn't good enough for you. I'm like, really? He was a pediatrician who meditated. You know what I mean? Like, that's objectively good. And I was stealing from him. You know what I mean? Like, and then your female friends are like, oh my God, stop right there. Stop right there. You were so brave to steal from him, you know? Like, and I'm like, yeah, but I hooked up with his friend, you know? And your friend is like, oh my God, if he can't handle you at your worst, then he doesn't deserve you at your best. That phrase is so fucked up. The real phrase, it should be, if you can't handle me at my worst, congrats, you dodged a bullet. You know what I mean? Like, you deserve better. Keep running. I date a lot of.
All right, welcome to Social Distillation, the submarine still of the internet, where we attempt to drop the bead and pour white lightning straight onto your brain. Golly, what are we talking about today, Samo?
Well, we love comedy because comedy says the quiet part out loud in a
Uh-huh.
funny way. And she made some stereotypes there, obviously, but stereotypes a lot of times exist for
I was
reasons.
just thinking,
Yeah.
you know, I've heard other people say, and I hope they're right, that I think, we've turned the corner on woke. It's not over, obviously, it's still out there, but culturally, we've turned the corner when comedy is back, when
hmm
comedians feel free to make fun of it. Go back and listen to classic Richard Pryor. He talks about race a lot. It's very racial. Why? Well, because that was a big effing deal in the 70s.
hmm Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
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 he
it, and it
got you to
helps
laugh at it and realize, wow, this is dumb.
because it softens the blow the previous one we just saw a second ago. It softens the blow because she's female.
Mhm.
And Richard Pryor softened the blow because he's black, right? Uh, Rodney Dangerfield softened the blow because he was ugly. It's he's my favorite comedian, by the way. If anybody wants to know the trivia there.
I pull up when I want to laugh, him and Don Rickles on
Oh,
Carson.
oh God, yeah,
I can
yeah.
watch the same clips of those two guys with going back and forth with Carson just over and over, and it still makes me laugh every time.
hmm Yeah, so I don't know exactly the direction we're going today, but hopefully we get some good information out of it. But she brings up a really good point in that in your social groups actually are very important for your relationships,
Hmm.
right? Because if I'm going out with the athletes and they're wanting to play around, well, if you're trying to have a stable marriage, that's not a good thing, right? If you're in like the situation she was in, yeah, there's a lot of you go girl behind the scene, even though they're talking behind that person's back of how horrible of a person she is. I was basically, I mean, she exaggerates it. I'm stealing from him. Oh, you're so brave to steal from him. But no, I talk to other girls, or excuse me, I talk to other guys while I'm out to get validation. And they're like, you go, girl, get that, right? Talking to other guys to get validation is not cool. You,
This is the thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't remember if I said this while we were still recording or not, but one of the frustrating things with those interviews with Dr. So that I listened to and that we've been talking about is she was
God, there's
very,
so much beef in those interviews that we could
yeah,
go on all year,
yeah,
really.
exactly.
Yeah.
But one of the things that made me go, I just nah, now I want to push back on this big time. And so I wanted to talk about it and unpack it some more, is she went out of her way, especially in the interview I watched on the Free Press with the female interviewer. She went out of her way multiple times to say, "Hey, I'm not judging. I don't think we should shame people. I'm just want people to have information. I want them to understand so they can make better informed choices." If what she was talking about was either feminine or gender neutral.
hmm
If she was talking about something masculine, she didn't do that. And in that free press interview, there were a couple times both of them actually went out of their way to mock and laugh at, especially the quote unquote incel community and how awful they are, and the manosphere and how awful they are, and the looks maxing. And in the Free Press interview, it really annoyed me too, because in the Modern Wisdom episode, when she's talking with Chris Williamson and they have this back and forth, she rightly connects the the disturbing rise in plastic surgery, cosmetic elective surgery in younger and younger and younger people.
Hmm.
And it's and as she points out, why are you getting that creepy thing where you get the fat sucked out of your cheeks? You haven't lost your baby fat. You're still a teenager. You're still in your young 20s, whatever
Hmm.
it is. Plus, it makes you look weird, and guys don't really like it. Just like these looks maxing people, they're doing things they think women will find attractive, but they don't. It's a problem on both sides, and both sides need sympathy, and both sides need, as Dr. K said about Tate and the manosphere, of hey, I hear a lot of criticism, and I don't hear a lot of people saying why. Why do you feel like you need to do this?
Hmm. Yeah, and this is from personal experience in my workplace because I work with a lot of middle-aged and aging women, and if I had a quarter for every time someone walked in and said, "I did something to look prettier, don't look at me," because it went wrong.
Mm.
The bruising from the lip filler or something along those lines, I would be more rich than just working because those things, I mean, they do them for other women. They do them because they think it's expected. But when we talk, let me go into Botox, and I have a theory or a hypothesis on this. We get the ick when you've had Botox. Us
Mhm.
guys, we get the ick when you have Botox because you're doing it to get rid of the wrinkles on your forehead or the wrinkles on your chin or the wrinkles on your cheeks or whatever. Lack of wrinkles on the forehead is a giveaway sign of a psychopath,
Hmm.
and especially a male psychopath. So I think personally, our ick, this male ick we get, is because we feel like something's wrong, like we have to defend ourselves from this person. But you're doing it to look younger. I, I've never looked at a woman and said, "Oh, you have two wrinkles on your forehead. I'm not gonna talk to you."
So that reminds me of another point that she made that made me go, no, because she said, hey, look, I understand if you are a public figure and maybe you think you need a little bit of work done because you have to maintain your looks as, a broadcaster or a celebrity, actor, musician, whatever. Yeah, I actually disagree, and I think there's something to be said for aging gracefully.
Hmm.
And in the latest season of my I said it's no longer a guilty pleasure; it's a shameful pleasure of watching the latest season of Singles Inferno with my wife. And there was this one girl in particular that I had early on pointed out. I think just objectively, she is probably the best looking one on the show, but there's something off about her personality, and I can't quite put my finger on it. She's just kind of vacant. She wasn't very expressive, and my wife shook her head and said, "No, she's a model." And this was before we actually found out that yeah, she's a model. My wife said, I guarantee you she's a model and she's had work done
Mm.
because this is a big problem in South Korea that they are so beauty conscious that the cosmetic beauty plastic surgery industry there is huge, and they actually get a lot of tourism for this stuff, that people will go there to do the normal touristy stuff but then also get work done while they're there before
Hmm.
they go back home. It's a big part of their industry, and the more I looked at her, the more I realized I think that was the uncanny valley for me with that girl. Is she had already had, and she was only like 24, 25. She had already had so much work done, she couldn't be expressive.
Hmm.
And because there were moments throughout the show when you saw she did become more expressive, she was having a more natural emotional reaction to something, and yet her face wasn't moving as much as you would expect.
Hmm.
And you get that kind of creepy smile that doesn't touch the eyes. That's something Robert Jordan uses a lot when he's trying to be descriptive, because that is a very
Well,
evocative
it's
thing.
also things we've adapted to look for.
Hmm.
Because if I'm say finding if we're back in the hunter gatherer tribe and I'm trying to find a hunting partner that I can depend on to not get me, gored by a woolly mammoth, I need to be able to trust this person. And if someone does not emotionally, that's why psychopaths don't get wrinkles, because their eyebrows don't move when they're pretending to be. There are actual psychopaths that will watch people's emotions, go home and practice them in the mirror so they could go about their daily life and get people to trust them. So we're unconsciously always picking up on these cues. We're always picking up on we pick up on smells in people that we don't even realize. So we're adapted to do that. So if we do something medically to facilitate the lack of that, then everybody else around you is going to not be 100% comfortable with you. We didn't get into it last time because we were going to go into the comparing the tall girl versus the high heel
Hmm.
paradox, and I love Williamson, and I credit him that he was the first person to say the tall girl problem, but I actually like the high heel paradox better because it implies there's a fakeness to it. It implies there is a lifting by modern technology to it. Because anybody who's dated a girl that is close to their height and that girl puts on high heels, and now you're shorter than your girlfriend. Us guys all know that feeling.
And that one, the high heels is also a good example, because it is a very um simple and basic thing, even if you don't go the route of plastic surgery
Hmm.
or those kind of cosmetic beauty treatments. You still probably have a number of high heels in your closet. And
Hmm. Oh,
I'm
and
not going
and
to say
and
we
I
don't
mean,
like them,
I love them. I love them. It's just when you end up being taller than
but
the other person, it makes it a little awkward sometimes.
exactly,
And
how tall are those high heels? Is that necessary? Are you doing it all the time? Because you don't have to do it all the time.
well, and also just like makeup, you giving guy perspective, so y'all females can feel free to chime in the comments. Give us some comments and
Mhm.
help the algorithm. It Yeah, I love the look of the girl that I want to go out with in high heels, but it has to be on top of I love the way she looks without them.
I also like it when you're just sitting around in baggy sweats on a Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like
Or,
that
or
too.
or my favorite thing when talking to a female is when she tries to scare you away with the no makeup picture, and you look at it and you go, actually, I like that better. That's a good feeling because if I mean I've you go out and you go to the club or the bar or whatever. The clubs are the worst. I'm going to stick with clubs are the
Mhm.
worst because everybody dolls up to the max. You can't hear anything, so you can't have a good conversation. The lighting's bad, so they can get away with a bad makeup job. And you're like, wow, that is paint on your face. That is not enhancement of your original beauty. When it's enhancement of the original beauty, just like enhancement of the height, it's great. When it's I am making something that's different than me, which is what a lot of plastic surgery is. But I want to have a nuanced conversation here because there's a place for it. Say you lost your breast in breast cancer. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make you not stand out because you have one breast, right? Have that boob job. That's a great place for that. Or maybe you just had three kids and they're floppy. You just want to get them kind of like they used to be. That's fine. That's great. But now you're Dolly Parton. Now we've gone too far.
Mhm. You've gone too far, and for what and for whom? I think that's
Hmm.
the big problem with this conversation, and where I wish they would have spent a little more time in both of those interviews is because Dr. So made the point a number of times that both of these traps that both men and women get themselves into, they're not actually appealing to the other gender.
Hmm.
They are padding their own insecurities or trying to elevate their status amongst their own gender
Hmm.
within their own group? Or
Well,
are
let
you
me let
really
me
putting that on for the guy you're trying to attract or the girl you're trying to attract? Are you doing, especially the looks maxing guys,
well, yeah, that's what I
you're
was gonna
lifting
get
for
on.
the other
Yeah.
guys in the gym, bro. You're
Yeah.
lifting for the other gym bros.
Yeah, I was gonna poop on the guys because the difference between bodybuilding and strength training, women are attracted to a strong looking body. And a lot of very most men think that means you have to have the pretty muscles.
Mhm.
What is the reel I saw the other day? It said a six pack is not a sign of strength. It's a sign you don't eat enough.
So there's this funny guy on that I follow on X, and I've seen him before. I first saw him way back on the Fox News show Red Eye when it first started, which was like their late night comedy news show. Master Sergeant Terry Shapper, former Green Beret, and one of the first times I saw him on Red Eye, he cracked me up because he said, "Never trust a guy over 30 with a six pack."
Hmm. Well,
Okay,
lucky for me, I can't have a six pack because my
yeah,
connective tissue is flat in my abs because I've gotten down to 6% body fat and it still wasn't there. But
exactly. It's
yeah.
you. His point was, look, and this is not a guy who looks like he's out of shape. Clearly, go Terry Shaffer, go look him up on X. He's even at pushing 60. He's still in great shape. He still looks strong. But his point was, you know how hard it is to cut your body fat down to where you've got a six pack. I got other things to do with my life, and I like beer. Was
Hmm.
I'm paraphrasing basically what he said is
Well,
I got more important things to do and I like drinking beer.
they say the best body is for a guy. This is not dad bod, okay? Dad bod's a different argument because that was an attempt to basically emasculate men in culture. But the saying I do like is the best body for a man is I work out, but I like tacos. I mean that's true because realistically, if you are trying to be strong and you're trying to be the best protective force that your female companion or maybe your male companion if you're gay and you like female feminine men, we're not going to discriminate here. The best body for you is the one that can do the most damage, the one that is the most dangerous. And females actually pick up on that. Uh, the what is it? Putz, P-U-T-Z. It was a study, and Williamson talks about this one all the time because it's one of his favorite studies. Is they did figures of men and models, and females rated them on attractiveness, and males rated them on how likely they would be to beat them in a fight. And then they re-interviewed the models later on their sexual prowess, how much success they've had in the last year. And the ones that were the most intimidating were the ones that had the most sexual success, not the rating of attractiveness by the females. That was not correlated at all. The intimidation factor was highly correlated to their sexual success. Did I derail us?
No, I think we've been derailed. I want to get back to the main focus I wanted today, which is the double standard when it comes to criticizing men versus criticizing
Mm,
women. Because what we've been doing here is criticizing both sides of don't go too far and don't project. That
mm,
was a big part of when Dr. So talks about the 666 is you're projecting what you want when it comes to being the hard charging career woman, and then you wonder why guys aren't interested in you. It's well, because that's not what we care about.
hmm.
That's what you care about. And so you're trying to make yourself, just like the looks maxing guys who's literally taking a hammer to his face, you're trying to make yourself what you think women want, and that's not actually what they want. there's a big problem here, and this is where I got so frustrated in those interviews is you aren't going to be able to change this if you cannot have these honest conversations and say, women, ladies, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And it is, and you are hurting yourself by doing
Ooh, this one gets complicated. Because
and
it goes back to like the social justice warriors too.
mhm.
Like, so we'll take it, we'll flip to from female to race. So we can include both genders here, both sexes, excuse me, I'll use the proper term. A lot of the things we do in the name of social justice for race is harming those groups, but they sound good.
Mhm.
But they sound good. Just like a lot of the things that the Louis Vuitton bag, the high heels, the dress, put on a sundress, I'm good. Nothing beats the
Hey,
sundress.
I'm not gonna
And
complain about lingerie because there's some good stuff here in this bedroom. But just wear one of my t-shirts.
yeah, yeah,
That's three thumbs up, man.
yeah, that's three thumbs up because it implies a lot of things,
Exactly.
and so yeah, so a lot of the things that the 2 hours to get ready to go out. You know how annoying that is to the guy? But it's for if it's that annoying to him, that means he doesn't care. Really, right? He wants to go out with a girl he's looking at while she's getting ready.
The only time my wife ever does that, and this is one of the reasons I love her so much, is if it's for someone else. Like if it's for a wedding.
Hmm.
She is going to
Well,
take
that
extra
makes more
time to
sense
get
though,
ready
because
because
you're part of their experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
She's not doing it for her. She's doing it because she wants to look good, for this person, for their day and their event, and, in all the pictures when they look back on it. That's about the only time she spends a ton of time getting ready.
Hmm.
That or if she has like an important presentation at work. Okay, well, we all kind of do that of this is a big effing deal. Let me
Well,
make sure
yeah,
everything's
work is
right.
different. I'm gonna say
Mhm.
I'm gonna throw in a little James Sexton here. Work is different because you are projecting your seriousness about the event. So if I'm giving a presentation for class or work and I get nice and dressed up, that is me saying I took you, everybody, clients or whatever, seriously. So that there you're actually giving a message at that point. It's not about looking good. Well, which you know what? I, I'm gonna have to eat crow here. If they're doing that for you as a guy, even though it looks better for other women, we should say, hey, thank you for putting in that effort. Thank you for putting in that effort for me. And in my head, I'm going, I loved you the way you were. But I'm gonna go ahead and just take back a lot of what I just said and say, maybe we should be more appreciative and say, thank you for doing that for me. I would have rather spent the time having sex, but thank you for doing it for me.
You look great tonight
Hmm.
is for, yeah, absolutely, men, make sure you tell your woman that because
And
that is
yeah,
the
this is
same
the main
as
point of this episode right now because I think we just hit on something that we weren't even trying. Is let's have gratitude as men for the effort that women put into to
I
looking
was
good for us.
that's where I was going because
Okay, that was
to
the point. Okay, I didn't know that
to
was the main
to
point.
say for guys to make sure you tell your lady that she looks great, especially when she's, putting in the work for a date night or an event or whatever. That is for them. What for us is, ladies, tell your guy, hey, thanks for coming with me to this event. Thank you
Hmm.
for being there. Thank you for doing this thing, to the Jimmy Carbit that we played at the opening of last episode. Thank you for putting those shelves up. They look good.
Hmm.
Good job. Thank you. That's a big effing deal to a guy. That is making him feel worthwhile, making him feel like he is needed.
Yeah, and
That's a big deal.
yeah, the two keys here is and I'm reading How to Stay in Love by James Sexton, and I'm getting this vibe from it. I'm only about a quarter of the way into it, but I'm getting this vibe from it is the two things that we keep forgetting is communication and gratitude. And you have to communicate the gratitude. And
So this, I wasn't
oh,
sure if or when I would want to play this, but I've got a short here from Laura Howe that I
okay.
think perfectly encapsulates what you were just saying. Now, she is specifically because her focus has long been sexless marriages, sexless
Yeah,
relationships.
and for those that haven't been watching and this is your first time, or you may just forgot, Laura Howe is a psychologist that specializes in couples therapy.
Exactly. So she's specifically talking about that, but the advice and the problem, like the root problem that she's talking about, applies to relationships in general and how we treat each other. So
Okay, so
go ahead and play this short.
yeah, share with sound. Okay. Now what got clipped out as I was pausing it is studies show, the word studies show. So
Yeah.
start from there.
Sexual frequency among married adults has dropped sharply since the 1990s, with some demographics seeing declines of 50% or more. And I'm convinced that part of the reason for this is a cultural narrative that's polluting marriages everywhere. Women don't owe men anything. That's fine if you want to remain single and answer to nobody, but that narrative has absolutely no place in a loving marriage. Marriage is entirely built on what we give to and do for each other. If I don't owe you anything is the operating principle of your marriage, then you're in serious trouble. Studies show sexual
Okay, well, that
And
was
I would add any relationship, because we've talked about this before, of even a friendship will die if that's your attitude.
hmm yeah. Yeah. The you should love me no matter what is the beginning of the end.
And, and,
Uh,
and that's why I thought the opening you found there was so great, because it was humorous, but it is illustrating that point of we are telling girls and young women, no, you're perfect just the way you are. You can do whatever you want. You can have it all. No, you can't. No
yeah,
one can have it all.
and
There
I
are
think
trade-offs.
yeah, I think the reason this is more on the feminine side is because social media is more feminine oriented because it just is more appealing to them. You know, we get on there to like watch UFC videos and that kind of stuff. But the female side tends to get on it for validation and advice. That's the worst place for advice. Well, I mean, technically, we're social media right here, and we're trying to give advice, but at least we're
But
discussing it.
we're not doing memes.
Hmm
That
It's
was
the
the
whole
point
reason
of.
I haven't done the Instagram trainer thing because
Mhm.
everything becomes a meme and you lose all the nuance of training. And yes, I can show you a cool exercise. Fine. Maybe I should do more of that. I'd be more successful as a business person, right? But you saw my squat video. It's 25 minutes. And that didn't even do justice to it if I
That
was
was
working with a
squats
client.
101.
Yeah.
That's what that was, and that's what it was supposed to be, was
Mm,
these are the basics. Okay,
hmm
but now if you want to build off of
This is how
that,
to not get hurt. That's basically what it was. And
exactly. And the the shallowness of those conversations, I think, is what is wrecking so many people.
let's go back to the club. People go to the club to find somebody. You can't have a conversation in a club. Not beyond, hey, screaming, hey, what's your name? Oh, you look good today. Let's go back home. That's basically all you get. You don't talk about, hey, what are your dreams, in life? What what's your education background? Uh, are we interested in the same things? No, we're interested in how you look and how I look at this moment in this time. And hopefully, when we have a conversation later, if you stay around, we'll find something. very, very, very giant, hopefully. And
Mhm.
yeah.
And we we aren't having the serious conversations of um for most people most of the time that is not going to make you happy.
Yeah. Well, and just this is one of my roles in my friend group is I'm usually the one that drank too much to drive home, so I end up sleeping on the couch of whoever they're hooking up with, and then that person gets up before they did, so I'm playing counselor the next morning. And I'm like, did you really expect anything different? I don't say that, but that's what my head is saying, and it's saying it in a lot of words. It's like, hey, you know what? I understand that you were in this spot emotionally, and yeah, sorry you
Well,
were another person on the list, you know.
this is where um I think one of the reasons you are seeing a shift, and we've talked about this in the statistical data of the divergence in Gen Z versus in I guess for lack of a better word, political attitudes, even though a lot of them are philosophical more than political.
Hmm.
You're seeing this philosophical shift. And I think a big reason for it is even if they were being criticized unfairly and being given bad advice, boys and young men were at least being told you need to be better.
Hmm.
Now, for the toxic masculinity crowd, that what the advice they were giving, what they were being told for how you are better as a young man was completely bass backwards.
Hmm.
But at least they were being told, don't stand still.
Yeah,
Don't be
and
satisfied with who you are.
yeah, and this is another place where the message gets flipped around is if okay, so if I want to find a mate as a male, I have to be very proactive, right? But that term makes it sound like I'm in control. My proactive nature is reactionary to what you want.
Hmm.
And so if the feminine is signaling to the masculine, this is what I want from you, we do it. Men change based on what women want because you're the gateway to what we want. And so if you want big muscles, more guys get big muscles. I mean, look at the 70s when Arnold was big and everything. It was the thing, right? Because that was what was in the media. That's what women were expressing that they wanted. If you want, if you want someone who can play the guitar, we learn to play the guitar. Yeah, I'm actively pursuing you, but I'm pursuing you based on what bait you're going to take.
Hmm.
When we go fishing and the fishing report says use soft plastics for trout, what do? We use soft plastics for trout. Or the drummer hitting on shrimp, we go buy shrimp. The predator is actually reacting. The predator, don't take that as in the active participant in going after something. Take that term. They are actively using the signals of the thing they want to get it. And the nature of the masculine and feminine is the signal comes from the feminine. We're nature's playthings, realistically, genetically too, because of the XY chromosome. There is more variance in men than there is in females. There's more height variance. There's more 4'2" males and 6'8" males than there are of females. They're more in the middle of the bell curve because of the XY chromosome. Because if you have one gene on that leg of the X that is not on the Y, it affects you more. And that it's purely we're purely reactionary beings, even though it looks like we're in control.
Hmm.
And some men, the bad men, take control, right? They say, you know what? F your signals. I'm just going to take it.
Well, this is why you now see so many women, you know, I'll go back to Dr. So of she said herself, I'm getting a lot of heat from my former friends and colleagues in the sex positive movement for daring to ask, hey, wait a minute, is this really positive if we're getting a negative result? And so you're
Hmm.
seeing more and more women who had been, yay, girl power, go, oh, wait a minute, maybe hookup culture is bad
Because it's a
because we are,
signal.
because that is the signal we are giving
Hmm.
men, and they're happy to do it because that is their base instincts. And then on the other hand,
Which, well,
you have, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say that the men that I know that partake in that culture are ultimately miserable. They're having fun in the moment. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
doing drugs. It's just like doing drugs. You're having fun in the moment, but as soon as you're out of that moment and the drug is worn off, you either are looking for it again or you're just miserable. And it's bad for everybody. It's bad for the women, it's bad for the men, it's bad for their friends that have to keep pulling them out of it. And then when they try to get off the drug and say, so if you see the bags under my eyes, it's because I was up till 3 in the morning with a friend who finally, he was a player way back in the day, big time player, and he settled down. And he was a couple years into settling down and was ready to buy a ring, and she pulled the rug out from under him last night. And that was more painful than if he had been good from the beginning, because he was like, I gave up all of this. I gave up my drug for the good life. And yeah, it's withdrawals, man. It hurts. It hurts bad.
It's good that you pointed out the even the quote unquote successful guys in the hookup culture ultimately
Are miserable.
aren't happy.
Yeah.
You know, it is temporary
It's
happiness.
less than not happy.
Because I was going to
Yeah.
point out the other side too, which is hookup culture sounds good to guys because, ooh, yeah, sex good, Neanderthal brain want, but then you realize, much like Dr. So talking about the women on the other side of this equation who thought, oh, we'll just have the pick of all the men, and then you realize, oh wait, no, actually, there's only a very very small percentage of men who can actually pull that off, and so then you get the other side of, and this is where the incel movement came out of the pickup artist culture is, oh wait, that doesn't work because if all you're going for
Because you
is that,
find it, yeah, you find out they only fell in love with a persona.
not only that, but so this is something, you know, Dr. So was talking about from the feminine side of stop projecting, because when you do, you don't go for that person who doesn't check the right boxes, and so you have filtered them out, so you don't even see them to swipe left. And so you have missed out on an opportunity to actually get to know a human being that
Hmm.
maybe you would have connected with. Well, same thing with the guy is, you might not have a shot at that short term right now tonight, but if you were actually taking the time to get to know someone and letting her get to know you, you might click, and she might have initially thought, I don't know about this guy, but then you spend some time talking and it's, oh, you know what? There's something there.
Yeah, and the boxes are great in the right moment. So say I look across the bar and I see a female that checks boxes. That's going to be what helps me approach them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everybody knows I have four friends, we hang out all the time, and we could get a picture of four females and say which one who would pick, right? Because we know each other's boxes, and mine, skinny, nice tits, glasses. There you go. Those are my first three boxes, and I'll walk up, and then you get to the part where you need the depth, because I've said this before. I need trust and intimacy, but I don't know that from looking across the room. So everybody's got their boxes. But then you have to get to what's under the boxes, what's inside the box. You have to get what's inside the box. It's like you give me a nice Christmas present and I open it up and it's empty. Am I going to be satisfied? The package was nice, the bow was nice, the box is cool. But I'm not a cat. I'm not going to just play with the box. It has to have the present inside. And we're all looking for that. So the boxes have their place. Don't knock the boxes.
Mhm.
Because if you don't check the boxes, at least to some degree, then you're going to actually start looking at other boxes while you're in that
It,
relationship.
it is much like we talked about last time of um okay, you have this criteria, but do you have too much criteria? Or is your criteria too rigid?
Is it
Is that
abstract or is it something you don't find in nature is the
it,
question.
is it something
Is it
that
Splenda
you
versus the actual sweetness, right?
is it something you really want and need and would actually make you happy?
Hmm.
You know?
Well, okay, so fruit, we're adapted to love sweet things because we ate a lot of fruit in our adaptation,
Mm,
in our evolution. Fruit's not sweet enough for people anymore.
yeah.
We need table sugar. Table sugar is not even natural sugar. We can suck on a freaking sugar cane all day and not get diabetes.
I've done
But
it.
you
Yep.
you granulate it and make it into a nice little powder. Yeah, we get diabetes like that as kids, not even as adults anymore. We have a separate term, adult onset versus juvenile onset diabetes, right? Because we have this granulated drug form. It's the same as the plant that makes cocaine. You can chew on the leaf all day and you'll get a little energy, like you had a cup of coffee. But we've made it into something you can sniff up your nose and it kills you. I mean, we had the string, was it the mid 2010s, like Tom Petty, Prince, Carrie Fisher, all of these famous people were all dying at once. That was also the era where they were drinking all day and then had to get high on coke to perform at night. Yeah, it kills you. And they were all dying in their 50s because their hearts were giving out. But the original plant you can chew on all day and just get a little bit of energy. So yeah, so now we go back to sex and love and everything like that, and introduce what they talked about too, the sex dolls. It gets
Mhm.
even crazier because now I don't even have to talk to a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna
Well,
say
it is.
whatever I want, and I just got to clean it so I don't get an infection. But that's it.
I don't remember if which interview it was in or if she said it in both, but
She
doctor
definitely said it in the Modern Wisdom one. I know that.
and this is one of the reasons I want to get her book to see her unpack this more is she talked to a number of people who have these sex dolls and
She
some of
bought
them
some of her own for the research, which
some
I
of them
think some of her research might be exploring her own self, but
well no but the point I was getting at is she said she talked to people who were already bored.
hmm.
It's I let me get the perfect physical manifestation of the woman I want, the female form that I am maximally attracted to, and I'm bored. I'm already
Hmm.
bored.
Yeah, and that's tough because I'm not going to go into that, but uh,
Mm,
sometimes you do find that in real life, and that's I think this person I was talking to last night found that, and the rug being pulled out, it made it that much worse, and because
yeah,
you got in your mind, where am I going to find this again? Now time heals all wounds, so we'll see. But and who knows? Maybe she has a change of heart. I don't know. But we're on we're day two. We're on day two of this. But gosh, it's I could see like the artificial part we're talking about causing you to become numb to everything in real life,
hmm
but also the fact that it could make other things hurt worse.
yeah. And going back to how we opened here, I wonder how much of that was this girl's girlfriend group affirming her and you go girl
A lot of
and
it that was part of the conversation. That's why I used
mm,
that cold open
mm,
because
mhm,
that was actually probably the catalyst, the
mhm.
gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, and you you, you aren't allowed in polite society to even tepidly criticize
Hmm.
women, or you are some kind of ist, um, versus what you can say about me and the way you can say it. In fact, so I've got another clip here that I want to finish up with, because I think it illustrates how really grotesque this double standard is.
Hmm.
Certainly for the men, young boys and young men who are being beat down.
Where do you want me to start this at?
So, all right. So there's there's two sections here in this. This is from Piers Morgan talking with Dr. Peterson like a year and a half ago.
Oh, I do
I don't
remember
remember
this
the date on
interview.
it.
Yeah.
And
This
so,
is right before Peterson got sick again.
yeah, this is 3 years ago, and I want to play the first 90-ish seconds, and then we'll stop, because um
And we
he
got Dr.
gets
K on our suggested there.
yeah,
Yeah.
he gets very emotional talking about this, um and he says why. And I have seen people posting clips of this and shorts of this, mocking Dr. Peterson for this, and just that by itself tells you so much about this double standard,
Yeah,
that
okay. And then after we're done with this, remind me to end my part with talking about male emotion versus female emotion.
mm, mhm,
Yeah,
okay.
because that's very important for this conversation that we're having. Okay.
I don't want to, but I have to. I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are...
Which is ridiculous because incel means involuntarily celibate. And Jordan Peterson is always talking about how important a good sexual relationship is with your partner.
But also listen to the framing of the question, and if you're watch Jordan Peterson's face here, as it kind of visibly droops as he
This is
becomes
only
sad
3
at the
years ago
phrasing. Yeah.
because he looks so young
Hmm.
right there. And that tells you how hard the last 3 years have been for him,
Yep.
how old he looks right now.
Yep.
It's only 3 years. God.
And part of it is his physical health issues, but part of it is the mental toll of
Of
being
carrying the
out
weight
there.
of being this voice. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what he's about to talk about here.
Okay.
are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure. Why not? People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected.
Sorry. When someone talks about carrying weight and being there for somebody, and your answer is, why not? Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
That is the definition of what we're talking about.
Hmm.
Young men. What a terrible thing to do that is.
Yeah, just silence. Yeah.
I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
It's making you emotional. Talk about that.
Well, God, it's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, be picky. That's your gift, man. Demand high standards from your men. Fair enough. But all these men who are alienated, it's like they're lonesome and they don't know what to do, and everyone piles abuse on them.
When she said
Pause it right
that,
there.
Olivia Wilde,
Okay. So
Oh, I've seen this before, and I'm still like the hair on the back of my standing up because that could be my son one day,
mhm.
and that could be me one day, right? It's like I don't think so because I work. I do. I try really hard, but I also can see the moments in my life where it was like you could have just given up. And that's there were times where I might have, right? And
I love the term Chris Williamson used when he was talking to Dr. Show of sedation.
yep,
That all of these, you know, porn, drugs,
video
AI,
games,
video
AI
games,
girlfriends,
AI
yeah.
girlfriends, all of these things, they're just you're sedating yourself. And like, oh man, that
Hmm.
is right on the money.
It's no
Because
different.
you
It's no
just
different than taking a hit, or taking a bump, or
exactly
in putting something in your vein. It's no different.
because life sucks. This hurts. I don't want to feel. I want to
Hmm.
numb myself.
Well, I mean, people, nobody, any, unless you, this is your first episode you've ever listened to. It's called social distillation. Okay.
Mhm.
Everybody knows that I've been, drinking alcohol for a long time. And there are times where it has been the sedation. And people who say, "Oh, well, just quit. Just quit." Well, okay, so we got to find what's underneath the thing I'm sedating,
Mhm.
or else I'm quitting into depression, or I'm quitting into anxiety, or I'm quitting into whatever your problem is at the moment. So if you struggle with that too, I know a lot of our listeners actually don't drink, which is funny because of the name of the channel. But but if you struggle with that, we understand.
Yeah.
We get it. No, I mean, back on this topic, there's sex addiction. Some people have sex to get rid of the demons of other things, right? So it's, yeah, man,
Well,
why'd you have to clip that in there, man?
because
Now I'm
it's
like,
so here's why is with the two big reasons. One, because he is rightfully emotional. As he says, you know, he throws the language of the leftists, of the wokeists back in their own face of, hold on a second. I thought the marginalized, and that's what these young men are.
hmm
They're being marginalized. They're having abuse heaped upon them. I thought we were supposed to champion those kind of people. I thought we were supposed to stand up for those kind of people, but apparently not. Apparently, it's only certain kinds of marginalized people. It's only certain kinds of outcasts. It's only certain kinds of people who
the
have
historically oppressed.
exactly
Yeah. Which
because
realistically, considering that the young men of places like Portugal were sent off to war just to get rid of them, is that not oppression?
it, exactly. And how many young women especially will hear that clip and say, well, good, they should be lonely. Good, they should be hurting. Good. Now they know how it feels. And that leads me to
No,
my second point of why this is
yeah,
important.
they know how it feels to be oppressed, yes. But you're not attacking the people who were doing the oppression, which is the rich men of the world, the patriarchs of the world, because they're doing just fine now.
Mhm.
They're doing just fine. So you can't separate it between men and women. You have to separate it between the haves and have-nots. And a lot of times, yeah, culture plays into that. Afghanistan, the reason the Taliban was formed, because that was all the second, third, fourth, fifth children of the family because the first got everything.
Well, I'm going to be a little harsher of if
How
you
can you be more harsh than the Taliban?
no
Maybe ISIS, I don't know.
of
That got us banned because I just named two
yeah,
Muslim
co-
communities, but
compared to your framing of it is my point was going to be um what do you mean now you know how it feels? No one has ever told you to change outside of your own girl groups. That's where the oppression comes from.
hmm.
We haven't even
Oh,
touched
you're being harsher to
on
the girls. Okay, I get it.
yeah,
Okay,
we haven't
okay.
even
Yeah.
touched on something we have kind of hinted at, and we might go deeper into because there's been some good discussions on it lately of female sexual competition against other females and how brutal that can be.
Oh, it's
Um,
absolutely brutal. Yeah.
so what do you mean now you know how it feels? When was the last time you had societal abuse heaped on you? Okay,
Hmm.
when was the last time you as a group were clumped in and had a major news journalist publication heap abuse on you and criticize someone for standing up for you. And look at his framing of the issue. One of the things he points out is that one of the reasons these young men are struggling is because women are picky, and good for you. What does he say about that? Now, he could talk about how you have realistic expectations. You're too picky. That's kind of something we've been talking about the past couple of weeks is, are you being too picky? Are you being too rigid? You need to evaluate that. But what does he call it in that clip? That's your gift. Because it is.
Well, and is it a horrible thing? And this is horrible for the young men that he's talking to here, but should we not evolutionarily be selecting for the best mates? But his point, if you were to follow it up, and this is where he gets in trouble, is you can improve your mate value. Go to the gym, make your bed, get an education. All of these things can improve your mate value. And yeah, there's going to be have-nots just physically, genetically, and we have to feel for them and be empathetic as a society and take care of them. But as far as procreation and going forward as a human race, we actually advanced because evolutionary's plaything, which is men, has high variance. We advanced as a species because the high-valued men were the ones that were most successful. If it was not that way, we would have stayed the same. We would be chimpanzees. We would be bonobos. We would be monkeys still. And that is exactly why we're where we're at.
So skip forward to the 240 mark.
240. Okay.
I want to play just a little bit more of this because you could hear him there right before you paused it. One of the other infuriating things about this back and forth, if you watch the whole, it's only like a 10-minute clip. Piers Morgan, and this to me, I don't think he's doing it to be clickbaity. I think he's just simple-minded, frankly. He keeps trying to make this a Jordan Peterson versus Olivia Wilde issue, controversy, spat, whatever. That's even the title of this is Jordan Peterson gets emotional talking about Olivia Wilde's incel comparison. He doesn't give a damn about her. He in the interim between where you paused it and where I wanted you to jump to, he says, I don't care. We laughed, me and my family laughed it off. It doesn't bother me.
Well,
what bothers him are the people who are being hurt in
yeah.
the middle of all this, and that's what he's going to get to here.
Okay, here we go.
Hi.
It's really something to see constantly how many people are dying for lack of an encouraging word.
Or a hug.
And how easy it is to provide that if you're careful. Give credit where credit is due. And to say, you're a net force for good if you want to be.
Do you believe you're a net force for good?
Net, yes. In all the details, probably not. No one's perfect. So
I got to stop it there. Yeah. We've been talking about relationships and stuff, and you look at what you do in the relationship. Of course, you're going to have selfish moments, but you want the ultimate part of it to be a net good for the other person. And I make this analogy about, sorry, I'm getting emotional here, but trainers. The average life of a trainer is about 3 months because they think it's a sexy job. They love exercise. They kind of see, oh, I can do this for a living or whatever. And then you realize you got to put everybody else's health before yourself. But you also got to do things to keep yourself healthy. And because if you don't look the part, you can't work. If you don't act the part, you can't work. But man, it's a lot of responsibility. And if the person in front of you, if their if their well-being isn't the first thing on your mind while they're in front of you, you suck. And that's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of, I mean, just showing up all the time is hard because you work odd hours, you work a lot, you work more than you think you're gonna work. And people can't handle that because they see the sexy part of it and then they get into it and they realize, oh God, this sucks.
This is
Same
actual
thing,
work.
same thing with relationships,
Mhm.
especially in the young. I have this ideal, live forever after, soulmates. It's James Sexton always says the whoever invented the word soulmate made my job easier, right? Because you just think, oh, everything's going to be perfect because I had this moment where we were love at first sight. I'm dating a girl now, and the moment I saw her, I said, I'm going to talk to her. But it's fucking hard because we're different personalities. We have different priorities sometimes, that kind of stuff. And people don't get it. They think it's just going to work. And then we have a culture that says it should just work. If it doesn't just, and this is where the girlfriends group, right? If it's not just working, get out because they're toxic. It's like, no, no, no. They have expectations of you just like you have expectations of them. And God damn it. Jordan, you always do this to me.
Because he is so authentic that when he gets emotional, it's for a good darn reason and it's real and you can tell it's real. And that was he gets emotional again because Piers Morgan asked him, when you were talking about this, you got emotional. Why? And again, infuriatingly, he's still trying to make it a person versus person. And Peterson's point is, are you kidding me? Just look around you. This has nothing to do with, this person versus that person. And it has everything to do with what we as a society are doing to each other. And so much of that, and that's where it connects to the Laura Howe clip of you don't owe your partner anything. Really? Do you owe your friends anything? Do you owe your family anything? Of course you do. It's not all about you in any relationship.
Both sides need to be owning it all the time. Now, there are times you can lean on one side or the other. What is the saying? It's not 50-50, it's 100.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But sometimes it's 20-80, sometimes it's 80-20. Yeah, we all go through stages. We all go through. I mean, I've had moments, health problems, which I have heart issues, and I've had to go down for a few days. It happens, and I had to lean on people, but also they have problems of their own. And would it be good to lean on them for my problem and then not help them during theirs? Right? I mean, we have a great relationship as friends because you've needed me, and I hope I come through,
Mm-hmm.
and I've needed you, and you have come through, and it's a great relationship. That's why we're best friends. That's why we're on this thing together.
And if one of us at some point stopped that, then it wouldn't take long for the other person to start keeping score of, do I really want to do this thing for you when, the last 5 times I've needed you, you weren't there for
Mhm.
BS reasons. In any
Okay, yeah.
relationship, if one
I
side
have
stops, you're going to start keeping score, and then
I have
it's
talked
done.
to somebody about that because recently that was like, oh, well, they're threatening to break up all the time. And I'm like, we should always have that threat. If there's no threat of breaking up, you have no responsibility. Love me as I am, as she said in
Mhm.
that video. Yeah. If as you are is unloving or hurtful to that person, then you're not the right person for them.
Oh, that is a thought I had with that opening stand-up clip. That this will be my
That's what I
final
was
thought.
referring to. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Is one of it was a good laugh, but it made me think, because good comedy does. Okay, so here's here's the really important point about that is if you can't handle being my worst, we have wedding vows in sickness and in health and for rich or poor. That's what that is supposed to mean is when my wife was bad sick a couple weeks ago. She was in bed. She was bedridden practically a week. I was taking care of her, plus taking care of all the stuff around the house she usually takes care of. It wore me out, and then it became my turn to be sick. And so then she was taking care of me. Okay. That's at my worst of, this sucks. I can't, I'm in a physical or mental rut. I need you to help me along and help me out of that. The example she was giving and where this has become
Was
a
being a
problem
bad partner being the worst.
is
Yes.
the buzzword of the day, toxic.
Hmm.
Okay. That's not you at your worst. That's you being a toxic a-hole.
Well, and sometimes you have an asshole moment. Well, sometimes you do. But if you don't actively try, okay, so if you have an asshole moment, that's their worst, and they stick through it, right? Say they give you the day or a week. Say they give you a week. If you can't come out on the other side and go, well, shit, I was a bad person to you. Can I at least try to make it up to you? Or can we get back to good and we just be, good again?
Mm-hmm.
And actively say, you know what? I know why I got in that position, and I'm going to try to never put you in that position again. That's positive because we all have those moments. We don't know. Maybe a family member died or something. Or you just had a bad day. Okay, that's fine, but you at least have to get back to your best,
Mm-hmm.
and you at least have to acknowledge. So the three things: you have to try to get back to your best. You have to acknowledge that you were at your worst. Accountability. Accountability is important. So gratitude and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to bring up a Jack Nicholson line there, but and then the third one is how can I and how can I not have that happen again? It may happen again, but I'm going to at least try to, and I'm going to actively show you that I try to not have that happen again. I always talk about trust. Trust is something very hard to earn and very easily lost. And you have to prove it all the time. Now, eventually you get to a point where somebody just does, but you break that once, you've lost all of it. And it's a fascinating subject because we need it to survive as a social being. But uh is go ahead and finish your thought so I can finish on the emotion in men.
No, go ahead. That was my closing thought on what we've been talking about today. So
Okay, so
wrap us up here.
yeah, and so we're talking men women differences, and uh one of the misconceptions that exists in this world is that women are more emotional than men.
Mm,
Not. It is not true. In fact, the reason why 90 something percent of prison inmates are men is because we are more emotional. We act out our emotions more. So you say the kid is unruly in class because he's acting out emotion. Emotions govern everything. Or you want to say, oh, logic? Yeah, really? Logic? Logic is just you thinking through your emotions, is all it is, and trying to use them in a positive direction. If I do something that supports my business, it's because I want to be successful and I want the dopamine hit of being successful and being a provider for my family, right? That's emotion. So, okay, you just saw me cry a little bit earlier. That same capacity is why I'm also capable of a lot of violence.
mm,
I have a very successful mixed martial arts career, and I've come to bat for some friends in times of need. That kind of stuff. Luckily, stayed out of jail my entire life, but the same capacity exists in all those directions, and I'm capable of extreme sadness. Men killed themselves more than women. They successful. You're not allowed to say this in the psychological community, but successfully, they do it more than women. Uh, the risks we take in our jobs is higher because of our emotional connection to what the positive effects of that risk are. We gamble more. We drink alcohol more to numb that emotion. We do drugs more. Uh, Men are actually more volatile emotionally than women. That's where the trope comes from with stoicism, because we're constantly trying to fight this battle that is extreme in us.
Mm.
And we're also trying to do it in a way that attracts women.
And that was part of Peterson's point of that is why women, that is your gift of being picky and setting
Mhm.
standards
Yeah,
is
who can handle it
because
the best?
as you talked
Yeah.
about, we're following you. So, you know, because we're more aggressive, because you know, in all of the ways that applies, it seems like we're in charge, but no, we're following what we think you want. So, are you setting good standards or are you setting crappy standards and thus getting crappy men?
Well, and the standards are so low right now.
Hmm.
I was out with a girl and her friends are man haters.
Oh
They were
dear.
man haters. They're the ones that would be the friends in the clip. And we were in a parking lot. So, if you don't know this rule, you're not a guy, but I'm going to teach you if you're a guy. So, sorry you didn't have a good role model. You walk on the street side
Mhm.
as the guy, but on a parking lot there is no street side because you have cars on both sides. But a car started pulling out, and I grabbed her and pulled her to the other side of me, put me between her and the car. Her friends apparently talked about that for like 6 months.
Yikes.
And I was like, that's the standard now, that I just kind of got her out of the way of danger that might not have even been there. That's the standard. This is going to be easy for me.
Mm.
If that's the standard, this is going to be so easy.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a positive note to end this on. Guys, the bar to be exceptional right now is so low.
Be
And
a
I hate
decent
that.
human being.
Yeah,
Yep.
be halfway decent. Get a slight education. Work hard. Make a little bit of money. Uh, Smell halfway decent. Take a shower here and there. Get a haircut. Whatever it takes. Uh, I mean, this is the man makeup. You got to have a beard nowadays. Nowadays, it's the man makeup. I was forbidden from ever shaving mine, but by my niece, who said I looked hideous without it. And
Not
that was
wrong.
actually the tone she used. You looked hideous. Mm.
I'll
But
agree.
but yeah, no,
Um,
that's a good mess. It's a depressing message because we should have a high bar.
mhm.
I would rather live up to a high bar than say, you know what, I can just kind of coast. But it's
Yeah.
also a good message because if you're out there and you're struggling, there's probably like two or three things you could do
Hmm.
to just get better.
To
To
stand
just
out. Yeah.
read a book.
Um,
Read a damn book and be able to and get online and get on a community that likes that book. Boom, you've got friends.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next time with some more ramblings. Hopefully, these ramblings help someone somewhere.
Yep. Thank you very much. And like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But otherwise, I'm just happy you were here till the end.